My guest this week is someone I first encountered on Instagram many moons ago and later got to work with in person on a canning campaign in London for Creative Boom. From the moment we met, I was struck by her warmth and her razor-sharp intelligence and the fact that she clearly has a lot of opinions, which, as you'll hear, is a very good thing. Liz Seabrook is a portrait and travel photographer based in London, known for her quietly luminous, deeply human images, the kind that make you feel like you're in the room with the person she's photographing. She shoots for the likes of The Telegraph and Condé Nast and has a knack for finding the light and creating the most beautiful, still, authentic images that feel increasingly rare. But what brought her back onto my radar recently wasn't just a campaign she did with Hilary Grant in the Orkney Islands and made me want to buy everything in that campaign. No, it was an essay that she wrote for Creative Boom about AI. But rather than adding to the noise of hot takes and panic, she called for something more considered, and that's nuance. A word we could all use a little more of right now. We ended up talking about far more than AI though. Photography, body image, the pressure to be perfect, community, what it means to keep creating when the world feels heavy. It's one of those conversations I always expect from Liz and never want to end. So without further ado, here's Liz. This episode is sponsored by Adobe Acrobat Studio, the AI-powered workspace that's changing how we work with documents. Whether you're dealing with contracts, research, client briefs, or creative projects, Acrobat Studio brings everything together in one place, so you can spend less time managing files and more time doing the work that matters. Find out more at the link in the show notes. Oh, confession time, dear listener. This is the second time I've recorded it because for the first time since I've started this show in 2020, my microphone wasn't working. So there you go. Well, here we are again. Liz has very generously agreed to let me chat with her once again. You poor thing.
Well, here we are.
We were actually trying to figure out what we were chatting about last time, the first time. And I think it was like the theme was very much what everybody's talking about. You can't help it, can you? It's like that and Botox in my circles.
One and the same as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So both deliver some kind of result that is not necessarily real.
No. All contributing to the uncanny valley of the world.
Oh, I know. Actually, I was thinking of you because of what we chatted about last time. Getting bombarded with these things on Instagram now. Everybody's freaking out whenever they see an actress or a model that's just aged naturally. They're like, oh my God, her face is saggy. And then it's become so mainstream for faces to stay forever 35 that when people just don't get anything done, it just looks to a lot of people really strange. I'm like, oh God.
I definitely feel the opposite. As in when I see all of these people whose faces are just not quite real, I'm like, ooh. Also, I just don't understand why everything needs to look the same now. Like, I feel like there's a huge homogeny in like both the creative industries and also, well, by extension, I guess, then it spirals out into how we look because, fashion, photography, design is all feeding the kind of, I guess, the zeitgeist that we live within. That has a huge influence on the way people look. And it is just, I think we do just have this like homogenization across imagery, image making, and now people's faces, which is quite odd happening. Yeah,
I've never really thought of it that way. I guess everybody's playing it safe, wants to.
Well, it's sort of that. It's to quote a, iconic film. It's the same as Devil Wears Prada, isn't it? It's the whole like, oh, you think that blue sweater is something you've just happened to pick up off a rack, but actually it's based on, all of these things. And it's the same for everything with how we arrange our aesthetic now.
It's like these weight loss jabs, which, again, like we're going to be talking a lot about nuance, aren't we, in this little episode? But there's good and there's bad things about that. I think if it can improve people's health overall, brilliant. I just worry that it's going to be a bit of a quick fix. It's not actually going to make you go out and walk and do 10,000 steps a day.
It feels quite dystopian. And I've spoken to a few different people who are either on it or are treating people in like various kind of clinic situations who are on it, and just like the difference in people, how people are obtaining it, and all of that is, it's just so diverse and widespread, and some of it's for the good and some of it's not. And but I mean, as soon as something's available, it's available to everyone. Like however you try to control it, like if you've got enough money, you can access whatever you want.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. And that's the other thing, isn't it? I think we're seeing the divide between rich and poor now more than anything, because you look at some of these Hollywood leading ladies and you think, my God, but you know, some of the, when I was growing up, the plastic surgery was, well, gosh, how can I say this? Tread lightly. It was a bit monstrous at times. It was obvious that they'd had work done and it wasn't that great. Now I look at it and I'm like, oh my goodness me.
I always think of like, well, now when you look around, because obviously like treatments are such a like easily obtainable thing now if you've got like a bit of expendable money, and seems maybe even if you don't. And I quite often think about, do you remember, I mean, this must have been like mid 2000s, I would guess. And the whole, like, all the headline of Leslie Ash's Trout Pout.
Oh, gosh, that was awful. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
But, like, she was completely kind of demonized for having her lips done. But it was also such a rare thing for people to have their lips done.
Yeah.
And then she, as, like, an older woman, did. And, yeah, they like, everyone, it's like a witch hunt almost.
Yeah, it was. And gosh, the 2000s were brutal, weren't they? And some of the 2010s, I mean, they still are. I mean, when you look at the language that's used, say, when they sort of do a report on, you know, the Hollywood red carpet, when they talk about the men, it's like, you know, I don't know, so-and-so look dashing in a black and white number. And then when they talk about the women, you know, it's completely different language, even now. It sort of leans more towards their weight, or that they're aging backwards, or you know, all these kind of like subtle, awful bits of language that definitely sink in. And God knows what it's doing for the younger generation if it's making me stop and go, oh God, I mean.
Well, we're back to skinny talk, aren't we?
Yes, that's the other.
Heroin chic is back in its own like new digitized format.
Oh gosh, it's goes round and round in circles just when you think things are getting better. I mean, I'd hate to be a famous model going on a beach holiday knowing that the following week there'll be like a report on my cellulite. It's just,
I think it's really connected. I think I mean, this is a really like kind of slightly horrifying thing to look at, but like, you know, we started moving back towards like mega skinny models and aesthetic after all the Kardashians had their like butts taken out. Like they went from kind of embracing like,
what? Hang on, were they fake?
Yeah,
Oh
they all had
God.
like.
I just thought they were curvy.
No,
that is just. Yeah, I think I knew it was fake. I just didn't want to believe it. I think I was putting my head in the sand a bit about it, because you just kind of look at it and your brain just goes, "What is this?
What's happened? What's happened to you?"
Yeah, it's mad. There was another lady I saw. I mean, I keep talking about Instagram. I'm not on it all the time, promise. But she was saying that she'd had breast implants when she was a kid and she'd just had them removed. And it's a whole completely different world to the one I exist in. I'm just fascinated by it, but equally glad that I'm not in it. Not having, you know, never succumbed to myself personally any pressure to do anything. Although saying that, I have whitened my teeth.
Go full geriatrics.
Well, just with the dentist, he said, "Do you want to go a bit lighter on your teeth?" I said, "Oh, is that possible?" He said, "Yes, we can do it. You just have to wear this little thing once a day, like, you know, for an hour." I was like, "Oh, that sounds pain-free. Yeah, I'll do that."
There you go. The little things are happening.
Well, it's definitely made a difference. I did inherit my father's yellow teeth. Sorry, Dad. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I guess as a photographer, I've always wanted to ask this question. When you do people's portraits, 9 times out of 10, does everybody go, "Can you make me look younger? Can you make me look slimmer? Can you make me look good?"
Yeah, I would say maybe like 85% of people that I photograph don't like having their picture taken. Maybe more. Certainly not less.
So what do you say to them when they ask you that?
Well, like people don't necessarily ask for me to do things. Sometimes they do. I actually think it's happening less than it did when I was first starting out. But I generally just try and reassure people that they look great as they are and they don't need anything, and try and get them to a place where they feel kind of comfortable enough to be themselves in front of the camera, and then hopefully they see themselves represented once they then see the pictures. And a huge part of my job is just managing people's energy and allowing them to like feel safe and secure and maybe even confident if we can get that far. I have had a few people who have like requested, I had someone request selects of portraits before I sent them to client, which is not something I usually would do. But in this case, I did. And they entirely face-tuned their portraits and asked me to retouch exactly how they'd face-tuned the portraits, which is so hard because there's so many kind of, nuances as to like how someone, or like micro things that someone's done. So maybe it's like a tiny little bit of a lift of an eyebrow, a tiny little bit of a shortening of a chin, like, and then you just have to like squint at the picture and figure out what AI has done in order to make these things happen and try and match it the best you can. But
oh wow! So they put it through AI and they said, "Can you?"
Well, Facetune's essentially AI, isn't it?
Oh, I've not heard of it. So it's something you can.
It was the thing that was big, like I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago,
right?
Where you could upload your portrait or your selfie or whatever into the engine and then be like eyes a little bit bigger, mouth a little bit narrower, lips a little bit fuller, and it would just like and do everything. I think you could do it for your body as well, but
oh god.
But yeah, that was a big thing a while ago, and I think maybe that was the start of AI and kind of people adjusting but on their own terms, rather than it being something that's done to them. So like photoshopping's been a thing for a really long time. In the darkroom you could do things before that, but this was giving people the agency to like retouch their own image, which is quite a slippery slope. And then I feel like that probably led then to the kind of like proliferation of fillers and having actual surgeries or treatments done in order to like realize your like face-tuned portrait.
So depressing, really depressing, because I think in this era of AI you've got access to all these tools. There's even the very basic filters that you can put on Instagram. You can really tweak and improve digitally how you present yourself to the world. When I was in the midst of my back injury year, looking very tired and very much in pain, discovered a few things and had to play with them. And the more I played with them, the more I realized, okay, they might make me look a little less tired, but it was taking away from what was real and just looked so fake. So in the end, I said, okay, I'm not going to do that. And I don't use anything on Instagram. I've kind of made my peace. I'm getting old. That's a beautiful thing. And actually, I have gone on a bit of a journey where I've fallen in love with, the grays that are coming through and the little kind of wrinkles around my face and the little things that make me me. And I'm like, oh, okay, I look like I've had a bit of a life, and I can see that in other people. I've always seen that in other people. I think it's beautiful. Their little kind of quirks, their little dimples, the little lines around the eyes are so pretty and so beautiful. And it just depresses me that people can't see it in themselves and they just want to try and halt the natural process for as long as possible. I understand. And I'm not, both you and I are not judging people here. We're not saying that it's the wrong thing to do. It's just, I just think personally, it's a shame that there's so much pressure to be this perfect ideal that it's just...
like in inverted commas, perfect as well.
I know. Yeah. What does it even mean?
Yeah. And who's setting that standard?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's the beauty industry, isn't it? And people who make money from us feeling insecure. The very industry we work in.
Well, yeah, I mean, kind of, but also, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm just kind of a lackey in it, really. Do what I'm told. I remember reading about, I can't remember when it was. I feel like it might have been 1930, might have been a bit later, but women didn't shave their legs until that point where a razor brand realized that they could double their money if they started marketing to women. So just started trying to figure out like, oh, women should shave their legs. I mean, there are like, like Egyptian culture where sugaring has been a thing for a really long time. So like hair removal has been a thing for women like prior to that, but it had never been anything for like Northern European women, for example. And so, yeah, it was just a way to make more money.
Gosh. Yeah. And you think about all the things that we had access to when we were kids. I know there's an age difference between you and I, but even so, compare it to what there is now. I don't know about you, but I reach for the same product. You know, if I change something in my makeup bag, it's maybe once every other year. Like, you know, obviously I'll keep buying the same things if I know it works. And whenever I do, I'm like, what is this product? Gel eyebrow tint? What's that all about? You know, and then like this other stuff. Like, what did I discover the other day? It was like some kind of like, I can't remember what it was, but it was something to plump your lips, like made it sting and made them look fuller.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, God, I'm just gonna get my Rimmel eye kohl and my Chanel foundation. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Oh, to be a girl growing up in this era.
Apparently, I went to see a friend who was chairing a talk about fragrance the other day, and Sephora their target audience is teenagers.
Oh.
Which I found really interesting, given that like when I go in there, it does feel like a kind of visual assault of like color and volume of stuff. But I hadn't really thought about the fact that it was directly aiming at teenagers and how much money everything in there costs, and like just how much product there is available to young people now. My partner Adam, who works at Creative Review, they just did an article in the new issue about skincare for children.
Oh God, no!
Which is the next big thing. So it's like cleansers, toners, obviously like moisturizer and SPF, fine, but like face masks for children, like sheet masks, and it's just like, why? They're babies.
Don't need
Leave them alone.
Give them a good diet and make sure they drink lots of water and they're fine.
But I was saying that, I think I've always had like skin that was on the dry side. So I did start using like anti-wrinkle cream when I was like 14. But I think that's just because it smelled nice and it was nice and rich.
Well, there you go. I wasn't chuckling at that. I was just, I was thinking about all the things we did when we were kids, and thinking about what we looked like and what our skin was like was never on the agenda.
Well, we didn't have any eyebrows for a start.
Oh, well, I plucked all of those out. Gosh, I mean, that's actually the one thing that if I could get done, I have been like looking at, what is it, like tattoo, you can have your eyebrows tattooed on, and they do it so beautifully and so realistically. I'm like, oh, that'd be nice. I wouldn't have to faff about with my eyebrow pencil every day. I mean, we're talking about these things, but we still use these products. We still like to try and present ourselves in a nice way to the world and feel good ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I can understand why some people get to a certain age and just stop doing all of that.
I mean, I kind of never really did much of that.
Well, you don't need to. Oh, God, I sounded like my mum then. Oh, my sister-in-law, who's 10 years younger than me, would be cringing. She'd say, you can't say things like that. This is the thing. You've got to keep learning, haven't you? And you've got to stay open-minded to the things that were burned into your system when you were a kid, when you were a teenager. You've got to like stop yourself and just try and have that self-awareness, because you can find yourself saying things like, she looks good for 40. You know, what's that all about? She's 40. You know, why? Anyway, I remember, and I don't know if you had a similar experience, but when we were allowed back out after the first or the second lockdown, I might have been the third lockdown. I think it was like July 2021. And It was a lovely sunny day in Manchester and I went to meet someone for a coffee. And it was like a Saturday afternoon and people were out to go drinking. Quite right, you know, wanted to sort of get back to normal life as fast as possible. And I was like, stood there going, oh my God, this is so weird. I've never seen this many people with so many treatments. And I feel like that whole 2 years of being cooped up allowed people to try out these things whilst they didn't have anywhere to go.
I do also think there's something to be said for people spending 2 years looking at their own faces. You know, like lockdown happened, people carried on working, but everything moved on to Zoom and online. And, you know, like even now, like you can't just, I hope mine's because I like to do things when I'm talking to people, when people are like, should we book a call in? Like, should we book and it means a Zoom, it means a Google Meet, it means a Teams meeting. And I'm just like, can we not just, it's only the two of us, can we not just have a phone call?
Yes.
We just have to see each other all the time, but also we're then also looking at our own faces. So we probably spent in those, I mean, I didn't really have that many Zoom calls, thankfully, and still don't.
Apart from this.
But yeah, I don't think anyone had ever spent so much time looking at themselves.
And then had all
and
that
being
time
extremely
and extra money.
online as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there was that constantly on TikTok and Instagram and getting bombarded with things. And the world wanted to carry on making money and we had money to spend. So, I mean, I spent mine on red wine and cheese and some people spent it on fillers and Botox. You know, I don't know which is the better, to be honest.
Each their own, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing we're talking about. But I want to get back to talking about AI and creativity because it draws a lot of parallels, I find, with the beauty industry and the pressures that us women, never mind men, or soon to be children, hopefully not, are under to look a certain way, to be their best selves, to be our best selves. And AI is in danger of making everything look the same as well. So don't you just think that the very thing that a lot of people are trying to avoid, that the reality, the rawness, the authenticity, is going to be the thing that saves the day in the end?
I think my crackpot theory, is that kind of everyone will go in opposite directions. There'll be some people who go AI into the metaverse, if that's still a thing. It seems to have gone quite quiet recently, but we'll essentially end up in like Wall-E, and the other half will go back to the ground and use their hands and dig and make stuff. And I think there'll be this like polarity in society where people go either way, because there's always going to be people who want to sit in the safety of being the same as everyone else. And you know, there's huge like mass market appeal in that, which means there's money in that, so it works. But there's also going to be the people who look around and are like, everything looks the same and that's quite boring. So I think there will be a division. I think one will have more money than the other one, but I think one will be happier than the other.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting at the moment with like briefs and stuff coming in from agencies where there's like increasing amounts of AI appearing as mockups. And I worry with that, you know, they've already created this, essentially the photo that they want to create with terrible lighting and dubious retouching, but then that you get on set and they're like, we'll make this. And it's like, well, where's the fun in that? I mean, you've still got like a degree of, and I strongly believe that like a huge part of creativity is problem solving. So you do still have to problem solve how to make something that's essentially already been like dreamt into existence, but it's just not as fun, is it? And like, I was talking to my agent earlier about something and they were talking, I was like, well, should we, like, we're kind of going around the houses about this brief that's come in. And I was like, well, should I just talk to the client? Should we just have a chat to start with to get the like process going? And they were like, no, the creative needs to like come up with the concept first and then we'll bring it to you after that. And I'm like, well, why am I, as the like person who's actually like actioning the image making, why am I not involved in the conversation from the start? And I feel like there is a kind of, at the moment, there's the kind of, it feels like there's a bit of a divorce from the people who are making the final output and the like this idea stage, which is a lot of it's been kind of feels like it's been siphoned off to AI. And Jack Davison, great photographer, did a call out on his stories recently about like, how are you seeing AI show up in your industry, and particularly obviously a focus on photography. And everyone's kind of saying the same thing, that like decks now are just being made out of AI images. And that's what the expectation is, that we create on the day that we get to set. And it just feels, it feels at the moment like there'll be a swing of the pendulum where people will just go, oh, fine, we'll just make everything with AI, so we don't have to worry about these boring conversations with these boring photographers, videographers who make problems for us. And then I think it will swing back when everything starts looking the same. But yeah, I think it's going to be a rough couple of years figuring it out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be very turbulent. And I think the customer is going to decide a lot of it ultimately, because I think they will lean more towards the real. If they find out an ad, and it's already happened a couple of times, isn't of a real person, and the beauty standards are being pushed more and more to the extremes, what's that going to do to a brand's reputation? And so then, you can just imagine they'll go, okay, well, we're going to switch it over now, and we're going to bring in real people again. It's like the Dove campaign, real beauty standards. And look how it's sort of switched the other way around again. So is the technology forcing this cycle, or is it just a cycle that's happening and AI is part of it?
I think there's an excitement around new tech, which I don't think is a bad thing. Like, I think, it's the same as someone getting like a new toy at Christmas. You just want to play with that thing for, like, when you initially get it, you figure it out, and then you're like, okay, cool, that's something I've got. Like,
and then you put it in the back of the cupboard.
Well, you might put it in the back of the cupboard, but every now and then you'll pull it out, and like, you'll go back to your, like, at some point you'll go back to like your N64 and play with that for a bit, and then you'll be like, oh wait, actually the VR was quite fun, and you begin to flip-flop between things, and there's this kind of melding of the two practices, or like two toys in that case. But I mean, I think like when you were talking about the beauty standards and that, I think I come back, and I think we spoke about this last time, I come back to this idea of like, when was the last time we saw an armpit that looks like an armpit? I went to this exhibition at the Photographers Gallery a few years ago, which was of like an advertising photographer from the like 80s, I think. And she had I think it was a she, maybe it wasn't. Anyway, they had an image of an armpit for a shaving campaign where it looked like an armpit. You had that slightly like greenish hue where the hair had been, and like an armpit does. But like, how long, like, now if you look at I think there's been a bit of change maybe on social with like specific, like different hair removal brands. Like, I think Estrid shows you actually like people actually removing hair on their things. But like, besides that, when was the last time you saw an armpit?
I was just looking on Google, and it's just brought up a load of skin rash and skin conditions. So don't do that.
Not that. But I think we've been sitting and living with unrealistic beauty standards for a really, really long time, and it's been really insidious. But I think there's so I don't know how much the consumer cares, like, because we're peddled perfection all the time to the point that we don't know what's real. Like, I remember talking to a friend. There's a photographer who shoots a lot of portraits, who I consider to use an unreasonable amount of retouching. And they're a female photographer, generally shooting women. And I noticed that one of my friends who's had like issues with body dysmorphia and, with her general appearance quite a lot in the past. And I noticed that she was following this photographer. And I asked her, like, do you realize how much retouching is being used for these portraits? And she was like, oh no, I thought they were just really good at doing their makeup. And so like, we as people like in the creative industries who are used to like the tricks that people are doing are like wise to it. But I don't think that like, and she's not like, she's a very intelligent, like now quite body positive person, but it was just completely unaware of like what this photographer does in order to create the portraits that she does. And because they're generally women who are kind of in the public eye, there's this, I guess, also assumption maybe that they have like a great makeup artist alongside them, or, you know, they have enough money to invest in their skin to look really great, but not that it was the photographer who was actually kind of pulling the strings.
Adobe Acrobat Studio is sponsoring today's episode, and since we're talking about productivity, it feels like the right moment to mention it. One of the things I find most interesting about Acrobat Studio is how much time it gives back. The AI assistant means you can ask your documents questions rather than reading through everything manually, get a summary, find a specific clause, pull out the key points from a stack of files in seconds. PDF Spaces acts as a shared hub for all your relevant documents. So instead of hunting through email threads and Dropbox folders, everything your team needs is in one place, searchable and organised. Small things, but they add up. If you're looking for places to claw back time in your day, it's worth a look. Link in the show notes. I've just thought of a new Instagram or TikTok account that you can start. What is real? With Liz Seabrook. And you could be like the hovering person in the corner pointing up at, see this image here of Katy Cowan? Yeah. She is most likely to have had, you know, like the plastic surgeon ones.
Awful.
There's like it is awful, but the PR and marketing in me, the person in me is amazed at how clever, you know, this plastic surgeon in California somewhere is like, here's, I don't know, Demi Moore. This is what I think she's had done, and it's been done very well. And if you want to come and have it done with us, then we're available 24/7, you know, that kind of thing. I'm like fascinated, but equally horrified.
But it's just being an expert in something, isn't it? Like I was talking to my friend the other day who's a pathologist, and she has her like pathology exam to become a consultant coming up, or she's taking it for the second time. And it's absolutely bananas what they have to do. So they basically get like slides of cells for their exam, and they have to say what the problem is in the cells. But it's,
dear Lord,
there's nothing moving. It's all just plates of still images of cells, and it's just recognizing patterns after patterns after patterns. And of anything, it could be anywhere in the body. It could be any kind of condition or anything that's kind of got itself into the body. And I was talking to another friend who's a scientist about this and how bananas I thought it was. And she was saying that she had been a part of an experiment where they'd given pathologists cells to look at to figure out how it is that these people are able to notice the patterns like repeatedly. And they put like a gorilla in the corner of the cells, and the pathologist was so fixated on finding the patterns that they were looking for, or the known patterns, that they didn't even notice that a gorilla had been inserted into the cells. So yeah, I mean, these plastic surgeons, and the same like me, I'm looking for retouching, I'm looking for filters and how things to be done, and I can spot them because, you know, it's part of my job. I'm used to looking for it.
Also, more reassurance to people listening to this, and they're like, oh, I hate getting my picture taken and all the rest of it. You take hundreds of pictures, and there will be a few where, like, I saw a couple of me that I had to, because I had my portrait done last weekend. There's one of me where I'm like laughing, and it's the side of me, and I'm like, who is this person? I look like a character out of Labyrinth, and not in a good way. But then, you know, some of them were really nice. I was like quite happy with them. I was like, oh yeah, I look all right. I've just discovered I've got hooded eyes. That's a new thing. But, you know, we go on YouTube, we find out how to do our eyeshadow just to open them up a little bit. We'll be all right. I'll live to fight another day.
But I think there is also an interesting thing now of people having their picture taken, where like it's always been a rare thing to have your picture taken, but now it's a rare thing to have a picture taken that you're not in control of. With, you know, people, like, how many selfies do people take a week? Probably quite a lot. True. And you're completely in control of that. You know that you can delete whatever you don't like. You know that you know how to hold the phone in order to get your like best angle. You know,
up here, right above.
Done. MySpace.
That side.
And so it's a losing control of how your image is going to be captured and then shared, which is a scary thing to do. And like I just do acknowledge that like having your picture taken is a really scary and confronting thing.
Yeah.
because it is for me as well. So, I have to remember it for everyone else because we are all human.
We are all human. And it was like, I don't know what I was expecting, but the last time I had my picture done professionally was probably about 15 years ago. And I thought, right, time to get some sorted. And I could have easily used AI. I could have taken a picture and, done it up online and stuff. But I worked with a stylist. I worked with a hair and makeup artist. It was actually the stylist's suggestion that I get a hair and makeup artist. I was like, okay, cool, that'll be nice. And then we got this amazing photographer as well. They're all incredible people, good location. And you realize the skill and the mastery and the experience and the teamwork and the art of it all. For this next one, I'm going to do it here. We'll need an outfit that works with this kind of, okay, what about this? And they're all just working around me like busy bees. And I'm just sort of stood around bewildered going, how did I get here? But also equally just humbled that there's this human team of brilliant creatives creating this vision for me. I mean, I don't know what my point is. It was just so humbling to see them all at work and all doing these great things, and then seeing them the next day on Instagram doing an amazing shoot with a model stroke ballerina who is sort of leaping in the air with these like amazing gorpcore outfits on. I was like, oh, I wish I could have done that. That would have been fun. Have you heard of the AI app Mush?
I have not.
It's it's a fashion thing. It's where you upload all your clothes and you can create outfits. But one part of the app is that you can create your own virtual character. It scans your body and your face, and you put it in, and then you can put clothes onto your digital mannequin and see whether it suits you. So me and my Tom were talking about this over dinner the other night. We were saying, if we're talking about disruption and what's happening, what's going to happen to the fashion industry? Photographers in your field, what's going to happen if people don't need to see models wearing clothes anymore? That was a kind of startling
it's already happened, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Is it Mango who just have done like this whole year is all their e-com is AI?
Really?
I think they got several models, like likenesses, like kind of 3D scanned them, and then just, they then have like a full reading so they can change their body positions, do different faces, without having to shoot any stuff in studio. I think
so. It's a real person. It's a real model, but then
it's a real model who's like, I guess had usage paid to them for their likeness for a year. Yeah, first campaign generated. Oh, it's campaign, and this was 2024, and it was for their teen line as well.
Oh dear. Have you got any friends who are working more with AI and they're getting the AI jitters? They're vibe coding and they're getting stressed about, tokens.
I don't know anything about what you just said, which I feel quite relieved about.
So beyond the LLMs, you can have agents working for you doing lots of different tasks. You might be able to get them to code for you. You might be able to get them to sort of assess a website, put processes in place. You can assign them specific roles like social media manager, marketing manager, what have you. In Silicon Valley, they're building a ton of stuff. Everything's speeding up. If developers last year were using AI 20%, they're now using it 80%, I would say. And they go to their little parties in Silicon Valley and they're checking their phones, because I think you can set up a thing with your WhatsApp so you can talk to your agents wherever you are and get them to carry on working for you whilst you're out of the office. And people with Claude specifically, you only have a certain amount of tokens, I guess, space to do stuff until it gets reset, and then you have to wait until the next time zone that you can carry on. So it's like AI sort of token anxiety or something like that. I feel like I need to take a breath after saying all that. It's stressful.
I was having a conversation with my friend's husband the other day, I think he's a senior developer for like cybersecurity. And he was saying that at his company, basically all of the like junior developer roles are now being done by AI. and that he's concerned because there's no longer a pathway for young developers to become senior developers because they're being kind of outsourced. And this is something I hadn't really thought about hugely, is the fact that we're losing our like entry level roles. So then how does anyone get experienced in anything?
Yeah, it's a massive problem. Massive problem. And I haven't got the answers. I don't think anyone has.
Well, it is. I mean, the answer is stop using AI for everything.
Yes, that would help. We don't want it to replace us. Everything's speeding up as well. Are you finding that clients are wanting things faster?
Clients have always wanted things yesterday. I don't think that's really changed. I think since photography's been digital, that's been the case. Like timelines are always, you're always going to get a request that's like, oh, we've had these images, these selects for 3 weeks, and now we suddenly need high res tomorrow. Like
deadlines.
And I think also the like ever increasing load of like how much imagery is required in order to run a business. Like everything needs content for everything. And that means that people's schedules get busier and busier, and there's more and more pressure on creative teams to produce. But then also project manage things. So naturally things slide because there's so much pressure on everyone to get everything done for the same budget as when it was 2 campaigns a year.
Yeah.
And now it's 2 campaigns a year plus a social campaign. But there's more work, but spread over the same budget.
Yeah. And that's potentially going to get worse with AI?
Oh, it's absolutely going to get worse.
Yeah.
Well, it'll get worse if we continue to see the same homogenization across in the industry, where people aren't like, because you could use AI for like the social campaign or, bits and bobs for social. Like as a photographer friend of mine was saying that she'd taken some interiors shots last year, and then they suddenly popped up in January with a bunch of mums, AI inserted into them.
Oh, God.
So now we're going to have to, like, regardless of who we're working with, we're going to have to put out contracts when we initially start working with people that say you cannot just bung any old AI.
So you've got to update your legal contracts. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
But, there's a way of looking at it where if we're able to use AI generated imagery for sort of the stuff that does get like the grunt work, essentially, where it's just imagery that needs to be rolled out, that there could be more space to be creative and have more budget in order to run bigger or more interesting campaigns. But I think realistically, people are just going to want to spend less and less on marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they will. It's always the way, isn't it? Especially with the economy being the way it is. I'm just wondering if the Advertising Standards Authority have put a clause in yet about what's real.
Well, I know the Association of Photographers are working really hard to figure out the legality around AI and plagiarism and sort of the machine learning side of things, where like everything's being fed in and then what comes out of it. So, I know Nick Dunbar at the AOP has been doing a lot with that and working with government as well to try and legislate for it. But it's also, because it is all moving so quickly, it's really hard to
keep up,
generate legislation for.
It is faster than ever. Normally, it takes years, doesn't it, before governments catch up with the technology. And at the moment, I'm trying to remember where we were at even just 12 months ago and where we're possibly going to be in 6 months. So they haven't got a chance.
I remember one of our friends had bought, and I mean, this is to me absolutely wild, but had bought like a fairly reasonable chunk of land in the metaverse. And one night was up late with their baby and happened to like look at their computer and notice that someone was stealing all of that land. But there's nothing you can do about it because it's not policed in any way. It's not like, there's no federation of like anything protecting the money that you've invested into land. And so it's just someone can take it and you're just watching your money just drift off.
That's wild. What did it look like? Did it have any kind of like visual?
I don't know. I mean, it's all completely nonsense to me because I just don't want to engage with it. But
yeah, I think of Red Dead, the video game Red Dead, when I think of land and the metaverse. I'm like, Arthur, you don't play video games, do you, Liz?
No. I might play Mario Kart every now and then.
Oh, there you go then.
Yeah.
We'd be all right.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot, photography, AI, beauty standards, the way it's all heading. Is there anything that you're feeling optimistic about?
This I know I said last time, because when we finished the conversation, I was like, yes, this was a good thing to say. And it still stands, even amongst all of it, which is that I think to be creative is to be optimistic. There'd be no reason to put anything out into the world if we didn't think that it was going to be seen, received, and in some way make a difference or impact someone's life. So as long as we're making, we're optimistic.
100%. Well, thank you, Liz, for coming on the Creative Being podcast. This was a really fascinating chat.
Thank you for having me.
That was the wonderful Liz Seabrook. And if this conversation left you wanting more of her work, you can find her over on Instagram, where her feed is basically a masterclass in finding the beauty in the everyday. And if Liz's essay on AI sparked your curiosity, it's on Creative Boom right now. I'll pop the link in the show notes. And I'll leave you with a thought she ended on, because I haven't stopped thinking about it since. I really genuinely haven't. To be creative is to be hopeful. If you enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a creative friend who could use a bit of that hope today. And I'll see you on Thursday when we're back with Liz for The Spark. Until then. Thanks to Adobe Acrobat Studio for sponsoring this episode. If you're curious about what it can do for your workflow, head to the link in the show notes to find out more.